Excuse the bad audio, it won't be like this the whole time. My microphone broke. I had a different video planned, one that was more entertaining and trying to be more funny, but this one right here is recorded before my other video, the Golden Handcuffs one. And I didn't put it out initially because I didn't think it was very funny or entertaining. But it is my genuine thoughts, it's how I feel. So maybe it's good to get some insights. If you want something more entertaining, something will be out later on where I tell some stories about some ridiculous things that happened in my life. But yeah, I was surprised at how many people viewed my other video. I'm very thankful for the comments. I thought it would get like 3 views, with two of them being me, but a bunch of people watched it and people actually subscribed, which is crazy. So I'm very thankful for that and hope you enjoy this.
With the economy going crazy right now, I thought maybe now would be a good time to try to start a dialogue. And I know maybe like 3 people will watch this video, but I really want to hear what people think. I want to get my thoughts out there, and I could really care less if I get a ton of views on things like this, but if people comment and I can see different perspective of people, like, then that's really what I'm looking for. So to be clear, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a pretty normal guy financially. I have a job. I make decent money for my age. I have some investments. I have a 401k attached to my job, but I mean, that's automatically taken out of my check. I don't really pay too much attention to that because the job market is so crazy and that job is so shaky as it is, and that's a whole different story. With the economy crazy right now, I wanted to get this out. In recent years, I kind of came to this realization that having savings, having income that's good for your age, and having all of this is just not enough. Like, if I'm honest, I'm gonna work a 9 to 5 till I'm 95. And I know that's an exaggeration, but that's what it feels like. And I know a lot of people talk bad about Generation Z and, oh, they don't want to work and they don't want to blah, 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 blah. I think the main thing is we don't want to work for no purpose, if that makes sense. And I know people will probably disagree with me, but a life that's filled with corporate nonsense is extremely unappealing to most kids coming up. So with that being said, I think a lot of people's goals are financial freedom. And I think it's possible to get there. It's very difficult to get there, but I think it's possible. So I started investing. Like I said, I make decent income. I lived very cheap for the past few years, and I've been putting money into the S&P. I have a growth stock, not stock, an ETF. But even putting money into these ETFs and into these investments, it really feels like it's not enough. If you do the calculations on those, you need to put in a lot of money. You need to start with a lot of money. That's why the rich get richer. It's because of compound interest. So if you have $100,000 in an investment account, right, and it goes up 7% every year, or that's what you project it to do. I know it goes up and down, and the highs are usually much higher, and that's what it averages out to. And 7% is $7,000. What if you have $500,000 in that account? What if you have $1 million? That's where the real money is made. So having compound interest work for me, it's an uphill battle. One that's going to take many, many years to beat. And I'm trying to think of ways to up that income or put more money in there somehow to try to achieve that financial freedom. Because that's the other thing. We have one life, and I'm going to live it as this shell of a human being who's okay with being mediocre, who's okay with having no savings and no investments and, you know, relying on a 9 to 5 job for 40 years. I don't want to be that guy, and a lot of people don't want to be that guy. That's why we're watching investment videos. That's why we're trying to learn these things to better ourselves in the future, because a lot of people's parents didn't do that. And I'm not throwing shade at generations that came before us. I'm just saying they didn't have that knowledge. And I didn't have that knowledge either. I'm lucky that I have, you know, the internet and things like that. I also understand I might sound really dumb, especially when this is like the first video I ever recorded, but I honestly don't care. These will be my unfiltered thoughts. So I tried to figure out how to make more income, and maybe a future video will be like dumb ways I tried to make money growing up, but maybe a second job, I thought. I'm technically not allowed to do that in my current employment. Freelancing, I don't know what I can freelance. I guess I could cut people's lawns. It's a little odd to have someone in their 20s cutting your lawn. Like, I feel like that's what like a 12-year-old kid should be doing. But honestly, if it makes money, it makes money. Things like Uber, I don't know, that might count as a second job. In fact, it probably almost definitely does, right? Dividend stocks, again, you need to have a ton of money to make significant amount of money from that if you do the math. So I want to know what people think. I want to know how people have gotten out of financial ruts. I want to know decisions that people have made that put them in bad financial standings, decisions that have really helped them in the long term. And I really feel like I want to try things, and I want to let you know if they work. You probably don't care, but I'll feed you the information anyway. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try a bunch of different things and see what sticks to the wall, I guess, financially. So if you sat through this whole awful video, I'm really thankful for it. Again, let me know what you think. And that's it.